Hello everybody, I'm coming to you from DC. I'm at the top of the museum. This is the terrace. Back there you have Capitol Hill, the Capitol building, and here you have part of the Smithsonian, and back there is the mall. You can see the Washington Monument back there, and I'm here because I've been spending some days with folks from Santander Bank. We've spent some time at Harvard and MIT, and then down here in DC with the help of the Atlantic Council, having meetings on emerging technologies and the governance of emerging tech. And it's been fascinating. I mean, we've been discussing things related to AI, to robotics, to big data, and the future of banking, and how does the financial industry of the future going to look like. And a couple of things have popped up and emerged as central themes for the sector moving forward. One is clearly data, big data, AI, data analytics. I mean, there's a whole bucket of things there that are linked to the transition towards a digital economy and a digital bank. And I think every bank and actually every institution around the world is now thinking, how do I make better use of my data? How do I become a data company, and how do I use my data better? In the banking sector, actually, AI and data applications have huge potential for ID, validation, and verification. So you can use GPS data, social media data to identify people, for example. Also in preventing criminal activity, financial criminal activity and fraud, because you can detect odd behavior, things like that. You can exchange information and best practices with colleagues, and also share the typology of crimes with others, and then you can apply big data and AI to your databases. So enormous potential also to find business opportunities downstream by understanding your clients better, and on and on and on. So enormous bucket of things linked to data AI. Another big bucket of things is linked to disintermediation, and blockchain comes here. It's in that part of the puzzle, and Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. This idea that technology is now going to enable us to disintermediate a lot of functions that were in the past performed by other banks, SWIFT, or other institutions. So huge area to look out for. Another big area, I think, is cybersecurity, because all of this move to digital, of course, opens these institutions to cyber threats and cyber risks, and there we see a lack of public regulation and public recourse when it comes to addressing cyber attacks. So banks are going to have to become highly resilient on their own, and they're going to have to collaborate across banks, share information, best practices, and others. But the cybersecurity space is going to be enormous and growing, and a lot of banks are going to, basically bet their future on how good they are managing their cybersecurity. A couple of other areas that we discussed that are very interesting, I think, are much more sort of on the global level. And there, one is social fracture, so domestic political dynamics and their global implications, the collapse or the weakening of the liberal order, the trading regime, the building up of walls and borders. These things are highly significant for banks that are very global, and they live off an international talent pool and others. And lastly, I think there were very interesting questions about the ethics of technological change, the ethics of AI, the ethics of privacy. I mean, all of these new these new technologies open up enormous ethical questions, and banks, like many other institutions, are grappling with how to manage these things, and they're very deep and complicated ethical questions that arise from them. So fascinating couple of days, and in the States. We now take a break, and we are going to be in the UK in the fall discussing this further, and we're going to look at the biosciences, and we're going to look at a bunch of other issues on energy and the environment. So we're exploring all of these frontier fields and trying to know what change in this space is going to mean for the financial sector. So it's been great so far. It's a wonderful day in DC. Thanks for listening, and bye-bye.